Hi, my name is Natalie Hanni. I work in the Teach for America Washington office, and I lead our alumni leadership and community engagement work. And I wanted to share with you today a little bit more about the measurement plan that we developed and share why we wanted to go about measuring what we did and the tools that we ultimately decided to use and the timeline for what that looks like. So we were thinking critically about how we are actually measuring and understanding how our core members are developing as systems leaders and if they are truly developing the skills and mindsets needed to equip them to disrupt our educational system so that it truly becomes equitable for everyone. And currently, we are doing this by using self-reported data around how core members perceive themselves to be developing along the theory of leadership bullseye, as well as observational data from when our coaches are in classrooms with them and meeting with them and seeing how they are progressing with that development. We realized that in addition to this type of data, we also wanted to gather data from other stakeholders, particularly students, to see how they were perceiving their teachers and how they were experiencing their teachers' leadership, to serve as a proxy measure for how our core members are truly moving along in their mindsets and identity development and skill development to address systemic injustice. So we rooted ourselves in the theory of leadership matrix, or bullseye rather, and at first we thought we would use some of the sub-practices and convert those into questions, student-friendly questions, so that we could just hear directly from students how they are experiencing their teachers in that way. And so we tried to create some student-friendly questions such as, my teacher, always, sometimes, never, and then the sub-practice of the theory of leadership. And we thought about ways that we could make this accessible for all students, such as using happy faces and sad faces and neutral faces rather than verbal language for our English language learners, as well as our non-readers, our young kiddos in early learning. And we were moving along with this development, and we got some friendly pushes from a few different groups that we were working with. So this PLC that we were a part of, and our national partners and thought partners within the OWLS team. We were also part of a big think cohort that was led by SERPI. And several of these groups pushed us to think about how we might not reinvent the wheel and use some of the tools and rubrics that have already been developed by numerous groups. There's literally dozens of groups that have already developed student perception data surveys and tools. And so why recreate our own when we could actually use some of these groups, which would help ensure the reliability and validity of our data, as well as give us access to a breadth of resources to kind of really help hone through that data and break it up into different subgroups and analyze it in a more deep and meaningful way. So we are actually still in the process of analyzing some of the different tools available to us, and we haven't fully decided which student perception data toolkit we will be using at this point. But we do know how we're going to roll it out. We have a core member retreat coming up in just a few weeks where we will be introducing this to our core members and sharing with them how we're going to go about collecting this data, which will be administered 3 times a year, concurrent with the beginning of the year, middle of the year, and end of the year surveys that they would already be responsible for completing. And so it was really important to us that we make sure that this not be an additional add-on, another thing that people are collecting, because there's so much that they're already responsible for collecting. And so we wanted to make this as seamless and low lift as possible for our core members. And yeah, so that's where we landed. And we just really wanted to make sure that the work that we're doing with our core members is having the desired impact that we want it to. And so we don't feel that we can accurately have a pulse of that without collecting student voice and student data. And that's where we landed. And we are more than happy to share our learnings along the way. This is certainly a work in progress. If anyone else is doing something similar to this, we would love to work with you and think about how we might collaborate or learn from each other. I hope this was helpful. Let me know. Shoot me a Slack or an email if you have any questions or ideas for us. We'd love to hear what you have. Thanks.